Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
This show's audio was via a Skype call.
You are listening to Your Next Chapter Radio, navigating through life's transitions with Shelly Ryan on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Shelly's contagious enthusiasm amazingly makes you want to tackle your transitions and jump to your next chapter. Do you have a major change happening in your life and you don't even know where to begin? Are you letting fear and anxiety get in the way of your next move? Shelly has been working with people for over a decade with everything from writing books to career changes to simply cleaning out their closets. How? Powerfully and funnily. Shelly's creative and powerful approach makes it happen by guiding you deliberately, mindfully, and purposefully. Now, here's your host, Shelly Ryan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shelly Ryan, and you're listening to Your Next Chapter on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour and consider your life story and all of its chapters. How's it going so far? What chapter is next for you? You have plenty of time to create an amazing bestseller, so get ready to turn the page and design your next chapter. As a transition coach, my clients come to me unsettled and dissatisfied with something in their life. It may be their job, relationship, or lack of one, family, health, weight, finances, or they just aren't having any fun. And they know they need to change, but for a variety of reasons, haven't been able to make it happen. Today's next chapter is for those of you who have tried every kind of diet known to man and are still struggling with your weight and how you feel about your body. So today I have Jenn Hand, who is a food coach and body image expert, joining us. Jenn's aim is to dispel all myths relating to dieting, debunk food rules, let go of how we should eat, and bring enjoyment and sanity back to eating. We most definitely live in an anxiety-riddled culture around food. Jenn's passion is to help women learn to eat normally and fall in love with their bodies. She's lived through the battle of dieting and binging for 13 years and has tried every diet plan, program, and solution that promised weight loss. Hypnosis, diet pills, cleanses, detoxes, you name it. And it wasn't until she looked at what was underneath the food that she saw any lasting healing. And now she teaches others to do the same. So let's welcome Jenn to Your Next Chapter. Hello, Jenn.
Hi, Shelly. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Having been a yo-yo dieter and struggling with my weight for several decades, I hate to say, I'm personally thrilled to have you on today's show. So please tell us a little bit about your journey and why ending dieting is so important to you.
So I feel like most of my life has been my journey with food. It started very innocently, which many people's weight loss journeys often do, of, hey, I'm just feeling uncomfortable in my body. I'm not really happy with the way I look, and I'm going to diet and I'm going to lose weight. And mine might have been a little bit more extreme. I decided in high school for the upcoming prom, I was going to buy diet pills and, exercise a lot and restrict my eating and lose however many pounds. And I did that. But what happened was it set me up for the start of this cycle of dieting and restricting, and then not being able to stay on that for, more than a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, and then swinging to the other extreme of binging. And I would always try and get back to like, oh, I know I can do it. I lost the 25 pounds before, and I just want to get back there. And so it was really the catalyst, like that innocent little, hey, I'm just going to lose some weight, I'm not happy with my body, became this like deeper and deeper hole that I dug for myself of just not being able to break that cycle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get it. And it lasted, right? Like it lasted for a while.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It lasted I started looking more deeply into the food stuff maybe after, I don't know, I'd say 7 years, but it was really, I was still kind of dieting, I was still kind of like, no, I'm not. Yes, I was looking at the emotional eating and body acceptance and some of the other food related issues, body related issues, but I was also like, and I'm still going to diet. So it was kind of doing the work and also like, still dieting over here in hopes that I could just diet my way back to where I was and then deal with the stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, why do you think it's so hard to lose weight and keep it off?
So I think I would say my answer would be twofold. The first is that I feel like anything that you think of nutritionally, you can find the opposite perspective of like, oh, I should do no carbs. But then someone says like, no, you should do carbs, or I shouldn't do animal protein. Like, no, you should do animal protein. And I think we live in this world of nutritional confusion where we don't really know like, oh, okay, but someone says that, but someone says keto, and then someone says paleo, and then someone says, no, none of them. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? And I think the second piece is that we often do these very extreme or drastic things to lose weight. And then of course we're not going to be able to stay on something that's very drastic, like cutting out an entire food group, or we take these measures to lose weight. And then we get to day 30 or, week 8. And then we're like, oh, well, now what? Now we go back to everything that we used to do before because we didn't look at anything else. Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's happened to me a lot of times as well. Well, what was your aha moment when you realized, okay, this is it. I'm not doing this anymore? So
I actually vividly remember it because I live in Colorado. I moved here probably 7 years ago now. Okay. And I remember right before I moved, I was like, I'm just going to, move into a new city. I'm single. I'm just going to lose a couple pounds and with Weight Watchers. And I went on it for 2 days. And I so vividly remember being obsessed with like, okay, well, if I have 2 more eggs, that's like 9 points. So I got to work off this at the gym and I can get an extra point to have a cookie. And like, I was just in this headspace of like, that's what I thought about all day. Like the point and how I could cheat the system and how I could make up for or earn an extra point. And 2 days of that. And it might have been like a day and a half. I was like, oh, that's the nail in the coffin for me. Like, this is not for me. I cannot do this. And that was the last diet. But it was years of like, learning to slowly trust my body a little bit more but that the diet temptation is so seductive because it's like, yeah, do this, lose 20 pounds, lose 30 pounds, and, everything will be good again.
Yeah. That quick fix, right? We're always looking for that quick fix. And I think, obviously those marketers know that because that's what they give us. They give us the quick fix. So was there any kind of like story you were telling yourself about taking that big step? Like when you got to the Weight Watchers and you kind of had that aha moment, what were you telling yourself?
You mean like when I decided that this wasn't for me anymore?
Yeah.
So I think it was more not an intellectual thought I had. It was more like this feeling in my body where I just knew like I'm done. It felt like and I had felt this feeling before, like there has to be another way to eat. I can't be just dieting forever. But that was more an intellectual thing. And this time it was like a knowing, like I know that I do not want to do this anymore and this doesn't work. Yeah. So I'm going to trust in that 100% and go about eating in a different way.
And were you doing kind of that inner work already?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was doing, yeah. So I had spent, and I think kind of going back to your other question around why is it so hard to lose weight and keep it off? It's like, there's so much underneath that it's really not a linear journey. Yeah. So for me, it wasn't like, yep, one day I just decided I was done with diets. It was years of experimenting again and really being like, no, I just want to do this one diet really quickly and then I'll lose the weight and then I'll be fine again. Working on my own body acceptance and being okay with weight gain or weight loss, whatever happened, looking at why I was using food in the first place. Like I'm binging. What am I looking for this food to do for me? Am I stressed? Am I bored? Am I using it as a reward or a coping mechanism for something? So the inner work, I definitely was doing that for many years alongside the food journey as well. So it was really part and parcel of the same path.
Yeah, it seems like that would be a real parallel track because it's almost like you don't you can't get past the diets until you've done that inner work, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, and diets, I think, are so food focused, and really true balance within your body and true healing is not only physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual too. So yeah, I totally agree. It's like that inner work is a part of the food journey, and it's all sort of, the 4 legs of a chair: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the part, like it really is all of the diets, all of the advertising, all of the marketing, they just get to the physical, right? Like they're not getting into any of that other stuff. I think they try to, or maybe they try to, but it just never seems like it actually gets there. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't want to look at the inner stuff, and that's the hard stuff. I mean, who wants to look at emotions? Not me, really.
Yeah.
But it's
my gosh,
that's where you change. So it's like, looking at the hard stuff and being willing to explore the inner world is so crucial to healing relationships with food and with weight.
Yeah, I agree with that, because that, for me in my own personal journey, that was the turning point for me too, is that, I mean, again, tried every kind of diet out there, and until I kind of started to face some of those emotions, because I had pretty much 2, happy and mad, and that was about it. And if I wasn't happy, I was mad, and then I was eating because I was mad, right? So I think that whole willingness to take a look at that is definitely something I would love to talk a little bit more about. So I think we're in a good spot to take our first break here. So you're listening to Shelly Ryan with Your Next Chapter, and we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Jenn is going to tell us about letting go of dieting for good. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Introducing the Lucid Planet, a digital gathering place featuring cutting-edge, high-vibrational content that will empower and inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. Visit the Lucid Planet today to stimulate your mind, body, and soul as you connect with a global community of like-minded people. The Lucid Planet is edited by renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly Neff, who is here to help you cope with anxiety, connect to your higher purpose, uncover your true passions, and live your dreams. Dr. Kelly's fresh, compassionate perspective emphasizes growth, transformation, healing, and thriving. Even in the face of adversity, say goodbye to bad news and low vibrational media for good and become part of the larger collective of people working together to navigate the global shift of consciousness and transform the world from within. Join the planet, the Lucid Planet. Visit thelucidplanet.com. Welcome home.
Conscious Confidence Radio, a timeless wisdom with Sarah Main. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio and join Sarah on an adventurous journey to the deeper level of meaning to move beyond today's world of constant change, confusion, and uncertainty beyond the shadow of fear. This hit show explores key concepts such as confidence, values, and attitude in a dynamic way. To learn more about Sarah and her work, visit sarahmain.com.
The Truth is Funny. Shift Happens with Colette Marie Steffen is excited to welcome Karen Benton as a monthly guest host. Tune in on the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time to regain confidence and trust in your capacity to create change in your life, your health, your family, and your well-being. Karen Benton is a mother, nurse practitioner, certified body talk practitioner, Franklin Method instructor, and owner of Limitless Living LLC. For more information about Karen, visit karenbenton.com.
Are you looking to grow spiritually, expand your consciousness, increase psychic abilities? Well, there's a free app for that. Pure Light offers audios that transmit high spiritual frequencies to help you awaken to your full potential. Hundreds of audios created by some of the world's top energy healers, and many are free. Enjoy the latest in conscious technology and download Pure Light today. To find out more, visit purelightaudio.com.
Healing has a ripple effect. One person's healing affects everyone around them. This is where the power of sharing our stories can be so important. Tune in to Playing on the Edge Radio with Megan Edge each month on Transformation Talk Radio, as Megan provides you with ways of sustaining radical and powerful changes in your life. Enact the power of radical change. To find out more about Megan Edge, visit her website at meganedge.ca.
So we're back on Your Next Chapter with Shelly Ryan. My guest today is Jenn Hand, who is helping us get to the place where we can end the dieting cycle. Before we continue, though, Jenn, I want to make sure everyone knows how to contact you. So can you give us your web information for our listeners?
Yeah, so my website is www.jennhand.com, JENNHAND, and there's blogs. I do a podcast, tons of free stuff on there. So, and honestly, I share a lot of my story on the podcast and blog about anything from body image, body acceptance, social media and comparison, and what we do on social media, and she looks better than me, I need to lose weight loss, having a healthy relationship with food, all that stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've already started looking at it. It's amazing. So I would definitely encourage people to go take a look. So I read your ebook, Your Must-Have Guide to Ending the Diet Cycle Today. And you said that you've been a slave to the endless cycle of dieting and eating. I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, but what actually helped you stop that cycle? You talked a little bit about your aha moment, but what helped you stop it?
So I think it was multiple things. And one of the big things for me was that I wanted to stop dieting more than I wanted to lose weight. So much of my life had been focused on, I want to be thinner, I want to be smaller, I want to lose weight, I'm not good enough as I am. And I got to the point where it just became such a dominant central part of my life that I was like, I can't spend all my days thinking about this anymore. And so that catalyst to be like, okay, I want to lose weight and I want to stop dieting and learn to eat normally more than I wanted to lose weight. So it was making peace with, if I gained weight, if this was my weight forever, if I had to look in the mirror and this was my reflection for the rest of my life, could I live with that? So for me, it was really working that inner work that you talk about of making peace with my body, of saying, okay, well, if this is my size and I'm not going to be what the size I was when I was dieting, like I need to be okay with that, because it's important to me to be healthy and to be nourished and to be balanced and not spend my whole life focusing on weight loss.
Got it. So that was the piece, is that it outweighed it, right? It outweighed. Yeah. Because go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, I don't know if you want like specific things, follow. So, and maybe we can talk about this in the next part, but to get out of that diet and overeating cycle, learning how to eat regularly and often. So eating every 3 to 4 hours, adding protein to what I was eating. So sort of more tangible, actionable steps of going from, I'm either following this plan and not eating much, or I'm stuffing my face and overeating until I can't move. How do I get out of that? And that very first step I took was eating every 3 to 4 hours and adding protein to what I ate. So to normalize the blood sugar, start to bring my body back into some sort of rhythm where it could expect food. I wasn't starving it. I wasn't overfeeding it. And that was sort of a more physical point of where I began, amongst the sort of inner emotional, mental piece of it as well.
Got it. And when you did that, like, how did you even learn that part, right? Like, how did you even learn that you needed to get into that rhythm?
So the woman I was working with she was the one who recommended, let's start you on this. And it wasn't even a food plan. It was like a guideline. Let's have you eat every 3 to 4 hours, because typically, and she was a nutritionist that specialized in women who really struggled with food. And so it was just this sort of biochemistry of the body saying, typically we burn our fuel after 4 hours. And so the body needs that regular fuel just to live. I mean, even if you're sitting on the couch all day, it's like your body needs calories, needs fuel. So it was just sort of the biochemical makeup of our body, that concept to say, right, fuel your body about this many hours and start to normalize your blood sugar. Because a lot of times, and I don't want to get too jargony on you, but the blood sugar is so responsible for that thing that willpower that we're like, oh, we just need more willpower.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's like your blood sugar's so low because you haven't eaten in 4, 5, 6 hours that the body's just screaming like, feed me, give me anything, give me something to digest quickly, which is usually sugar.
Yep.
Now, because I'm in that space where I need fuel immediately. So to sort of circumvent that, to stop having to rely on willpower and to say, oh, I can start to make different choices solely based on balancing my physical body.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. And that was that easy for you to kind of move from the diet and the binge and restrict? Was it easy for you to go into that, feeding yourself and fueling your body?
Oh my gosh, no. I was like,
okay.
What do you mean I'm going to eat every 3 to 4 hours? I've been dieting for my whole life.
Not at all easy.
Yeah, I mean,
you made it sound like it was, Jen. So I was like, hold on a second.
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I remember her first telling me that, and she was actually she's a very thin woman. And I was like, do you eat every 3 hours? Like super skeptical because I'm like, that can't be possible. Like no one can eat every 3 hours and be thin. But
yeah, right.
So it was, I mean, I had zero body trust in anything then in my body, in myself, in my choices, hunger and fullness, all that stuff. But no, it was not easy. And it took, in the beginning, it was very, like, it was still very restrictive. Like I was very careful in how I ate because I didn't trust myself. And I was scared that if I eat often, like I'm going to gain weight. And so it was a very sort of, dip your toes into the pool, kind of test the waters a little bit. And it snowballed because as I realized I could eat every few hours and still be okay, then that made me trust myself a little bit more to say, oh, okay, maybe you can have a piece of pizza and it's not the end of the world. Maybe you can have 2 pieces of pizza and it's still not the end of the world. So sort of starting to loosen my food rules and loosen the shoulds and shouldn'ts and what's healthy and what's not as I began to trust my body more.
And I think that's actually my next question is, how did you get to that point of self-love and acceptance? Because I think that's a hard concept for people to grasp.
Yeah. It's such a hard concept. And if my honest answer is that it's still a journey for me. I still have days where I'm like, oh man, I'm just not feeling great about my body today.
Yeah.
But I think it was, and this is truly different for everyone, but for me, it was more of a spiritual journey in a sense that I didn't do like affirmations and mirror work, which work for many people. But for me, it was more like, can I close my eyes and find the me that's inside that is not my physical body? And so owning myself as more than my body, I'm more than just my physical reflection. I'm strengths and my hopes and dreams and everything that makes up me, and sort of really, really strengthening that. And I began a meditation practice and started journaling and got into yoga to try and inhabit my body more. So it was really a multifaceted journey where the physical acceptance honestly came about as a result of so much of the spiritual inner work I did on myself, which is almost backwards, right? It's like, what do you mean you do the spiritual work and then you accept yourself physically?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that actually makes perfect sense to me, because I think until you do that, it's hard to let that other stuff. It's hard to be okay, feeling okay in this body that's bigger than you want it to be, right?
Yes.
And so if you can, go ahead. I was going to say, if you can feel that, if you can feel okay in wherever you are, that's the journey, right? That's the way to get to, or the goal to get to.
Yeah. And I think a big point for me was I stood in front of the mirror one day after I got out of the shower, and it was the smallest I'd ever been. And I still remember hating what I saw. And it was this light bulb moment where I thought, oh, so it's not about me achieving a certain size, because that still didn't make me happy. And that was really the catalyst to explore my inner world, to say, okay, if a certain size doesn't make me happy, like I thought it would all along, then what else will make me happy? How else do I love myself without being dependent on the thing I see in the mirror?
Got it. Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's really great. I love that. So you also said that about you grasping that there's no failure, only feedback. You said that in your ebook.
Mm-hmm.
When you can get to that point where you can grasp that there's no failure, only feedback, what did it take for you to grasp that notion?
Probably a million times saying that to myself.
Okay.
No, I think it was also using all the times that I binged, using all the times that I thought I made mistakes, and trying to see it as a learning experience, and to not say that, okay, I went to this party and ate 6 pieces of cake and start hating myself, start criticizing myself, telling myself I needed to run 7 miles tomorrow, but to say, hey, why did I eat six pieces of cake? Because I was anxious, because I said yes to that party when I really wanted to say no, because I felt uncomfortable, because I took on too many commitments that week. Like looking at why I had sort of quote unquote failed, and really using that as a learning experience to say, okay, well, it doesn't have to be like that next time if I can receive the lesson, and I can be open to shifting my behaviors, my thoughts, my patterns for the next time that I go to a party, or I say no to the party, or maybe I only go for an hour, so it was really, it was a lot of self-talk, but also really trying to look at the mess up as more of a lesson.
Got it. And that's the feedback. That's the feedback that you're getting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that it wasn't failure, it was a feedback. Well, let's just stop right here. We'll take a short break. You're listening to Shelly Ryan with Your Next Chapter. And when we return, Jenn is going to tell us the best way to eat. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Would you like your next chapter to be free from fear and angst? Tune in to Your Next Chapter Radio, navigating through life's transitions with Shelly Ryan the 4th Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Shelly's contagious enthusiasm guides you through life's transitions deliberately, mindfully, and funnily. For Your Next Chapter coaching or to listen, visit YourNextChapterCoaching.com or call 602-617-8351. Next.
What is a brilliant culture, and how do we create them? Why are they important? Claudette Rowley has created a breakthrough 5-step process to help you align your culture with your business strategy for exceptional results. Looking for a culture that drives organizational excellence? Listen to Cultural Brilliance Radio, the 2nd and 4th Friday of each month at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. To learn more or work with Claudette, visit culturalbrilliance.com.
Tune in to People Like Us Radio with Megan Lyons, transcending the trauma of the human experience. Megan will be raising the universal consciousness by empowering listeners with their own inner strength, working past trauma and abuse. Megan will show you how to find true healing and inner peace through the art and practice of self-love. Tune in every 1st and 3rd Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. For more information about Megan and her work, visit enterthelightllc.com.
Charlene Hess is a red-headed powerhouse of energy, love, and light. As a hairstylist, personal trainer, and life coach, she empowers people to develop a deeper connection with themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. Join Charlene the 3rd Friday of each month on The Cornelia Stephanie Show. Get ready to experience your highest self, find your purpose, and discover your calling. You too can become unstoppable, shining your light and sharing your gift. Visit Charlene at charlenehess.com.
Are you traveling most of your day? Do you want to take Transformation Talk Radio with you anywhere you go? Well, guess what? There's an app for that. Just go to the App Store on your Apple device or the Google Play Store on your Android and search Transformation Talk Radio. Catch all of our live shows no matter where you are. Thanks for listening.
So we're back on Your Next Chapter with Shelly Ryan. I have Jenn Hand here talking about no more diets. Jenn is going to share the best way to eat. This is something I know we are all really wanting to know. So if you go ahead and talk a little bit about what you consider the best way to eat.
Yeah. So a lot of it is subjective, and I'm going to give sort of a couple tangible, actionable steps. And I talked about this in the last piece around starting with eating every 3 to 4 hours to begin to normalize your blood sugar and adding protein to what you eat. And what this does is starts to slow down your digestion. And for example, if you eat a bagel with cream cheese, it's digested very quickly in your body and you get sort of a hit of energy and then are often hungry an hour and a half, 2 hours later. Whereas if you have a bagel sandwich with egg on it, some protein, it helps digest more slowly and it keeps you fuller longer. So I use that with all my clients. And then from there, it gives you a great jumping off point to say, okay, do I do better with more protein? Do I do better with less protein? Can I add more carbs? Do I need carbs earlier in the day? So really, above all else, it's self-exploration and finding what works for you. So of course I teach hunger and fullness, honoring hunger, honoring fullness. And I'm glossing over them because it sounds really easy. Many people are not in touch with hunger and fullness. So if you are not, it's a very normal thing, because if we've been dieting for so long, we are usually out of touch with, oh, am I hungry? And more commonly, am I full? So really learning to hear what your body is saying. And it's like when you're hot, you take off your sweater. When you're cold, you put on a jacket. So our bodies are always talking with us. And it's about hearing what our body's saying to say, okay, this works for me. This doesn't. And every diet out there says, this is the plan, follow it, typically. So the key to letting go of dieting is to really learn how your best self functions on eating in a way that feels good for you. So, and I don't want to give rules or anything like that. But
exactly.
Yeah, it's that's a very ambiguous answer to say, do what works for you. But within the framework of adding proteins to your snacks and to your meals and eating every 3 to 4 hours, that is such a great first step to say, okay, within this, how do I then tweak things? How do I add more movement? How do I add more vegetables? How do I look at the proteins that I'm using? How do I cut back on, not even cut back, how do I eat in a different way if 3 bowls of ice cream at night really doesn't make me feel good? So for me, it's using a feeling-based approach instead of a rule-based approach. So if you're eating 3 bowls of ice cream every night and you're just feeling sluggish and foggy and you wake up not feeling great, it's like, okay, that really doesn't make me feel good. Why am I using that? And using that feedback to help you shift out of it.
Got it. Okay. And what advice would you give somebody to start to identify the feeling?
So what helped me and what I recommend to a lot of the women I work with is journaling. So it can be a food journal. That's a great way to start getting some feedback, not from a diet perspective to say, oh, I have to do this, but to help you see your habits and see your patterns. And, oh, every day at 4:00, I'm stress eating. But also for feelings. And what I did in the very beginning was I kept a food log and then I would write how I was feeling when I ate it. And that was so transformative for me because asking what I felt. So for example, night eating was a huge one for me, getting to the end of the day and then just eating from like after dinner until bed. And so when I wrote down my feelings, anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, bored, I was then able to not only see what I was feeling, but also to look at, okay, why am I stressed then? Why am I feeling overwhelmed and anxious? So it's sort of a step-by-step process where if you ask, how am I feeling right now? Or how was I feeling when I was eating that or after I ate that or before I ate that, to then give you the clue to that next, to go deeper to say, oh, okay, well, what can I do instead? Or what would serve me better? What would nourish me in a different way? And help you cope with the overwhelm or the boredom or the loneliness instead of turning to the food kind of thing.
Got it. And what were some of those alternative things that you did instead of eating? Because our we're used to the eating, right? If I'm feeling tired or I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling happy or sad or whatever the emotion is, we would go to food typically, right? So I hear a lot about that, like finding something else to do. What worked for you and what works for some of your clients?
Yeah. So there's sort of two schools of thought on this. One is that sort of like distraction. So the activities like going out for a walk, going to the bookstore instead of sitting on your couch at night, watching a movie, calling a friend, like the sort of activities that are keep you busy. Mm-hmm. And then the sort of other side of the other school of thought is instead of distracting yourself, like turn inward. So journaling, meditation, yoga, mindful walks, a guided meditation, doing some deep breathing exercises. And for me, it was really a mix of both. So sometimes distraction did work really well to just get out of my house, go for a walk, go to the park, be around people, call a friend. And other times I did sit on my couch with my journal and just write like, oh my gosh, I want to binge right now. All I want to do is eat. Why do I want to eat? And kind of going into the feelings in that way. So
okay.
I think there's room for both. That doesn't have to be an either or, like you have to only journal or you have to distract yourself. It's like distraction can be a tool at times. I think eventually though, the going within to get through the uncomfortable feeling or deal with the emotion that's there in the moment is a huge way to transform. And a big part of it for me was being willing to be uncomfortable. So, when I wanted to eat or when I really wanted ice cream because I was anxious and I didn't want to feel anxiety, it was like, oh, well, can I feel this right now? Because we often eat instead of feel. And so when we start to feel, it's like, oh, this doesn't feel good. So sometimes don't feel good.
I know. And we'll do anything to avoid that, don't we?
Yes.
Like anything to avoid that. Yeah. And really, when you get to the other side of that feeling, you realize it's almost like we've created this story around it and it's not nearly as dramatic as maybe we thought it was going to be.
Yes. And I remember the first time I felt a feeling because I'd spent my whole life eating over feelings. And that was my thought. It was like terrifying. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. And then I was like, oh, okay. I felt that. I felt the anger, like, go me,
Yeah.
And I was like for a minute or two, but then I was like, oh, okay. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. And it's not that hard and it wasn't torture or anything like that. So absolutely. And I think again, that's a tricky part because we're so convinced that it's going to be this nightmare. And really, if you just experience it a few times, is that kind of what happened for you? Is that you realize, hey, this isn't, I can do it.
Yeah. And I will say that even today, sometimes like there will be feelings that might be really uncomfortable or I just really don't like feeling them, where I'll feel that call to be like, oh, like what's in the pantry? But I know now at this point in my journey that's sort of my red flag to say, hey, Jen, go see what's really going on. Food isn't the answer. So go feel instead of eat. And yes, I think confidence and experience of feeling and realizing I could feel has helped me over the years to say, yep, feelings are not always fun, but I know it's like being a mature adult, like we have to feel, we can't keep running from it for our whole life. And it was accepting like, okay, I have to be mature about this and I'm going to feel my feeling as much as I don't want to right now and just move on from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, if you want to get Jenn's ebook, your must-have guide to ending the diet cycle today, you can grab it at www.jennhand.com, JENNHAND.com. Thank you so much, Jenn, for joining me today and sharing your story, your expertise, your courage, and your advice for women out there who want to get comfortable in their own bodies and eat normal. It's really been incredibly insightful and helpful, and I'm really grateful that you were able to join us. Is there anything that you have coming up or anything that you'd like to share with our listeners before we go to our next break?
So I am publishing my first book, which is really exciting.
Yes.
I actually don't have a a go live date, but it's in the typesetting phase right now. So it'll go through one more round of editing, and so it'll be essentially how to make peace with food. This your guide to how to make peace with food. That's not the exact title. I can't even remember. It's been such a long process that I can't even remember the title. This book has been like a 3-year process, and it's finally done. So it feels really good.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my gosh. And you'll have that on your website, I'm sure, once you get that done. Okay. Yes. Excellent. Well, I can't wait to read it. I will definitely be buying one.
Thanks, Shelly.
For sure. Well, this is Shelly Ryan with Your Next Chapter, and we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, is willpower enough to make the changes you need? What do you think? Stay with me, and I'll be back shortly.
Introducing the Lucid Planet, a digital gathering place featuring cutting-edge, high-vibrational content that will empower and inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. Visit the Lucid Planet today to stimulate your mind, body, and soul as you connect with a global community of like-minded people. The Lucid Planet is edited by renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly Neff, who is here to help you cope with anxiety, connect to your higher purpose, uncover your true passions, and live your dreams. Dr. Kelly's fresh, compassionate perspective emphasizes growth, transformation, healing, and thriving. Even in the face of adversity, say goodbye to bad news and low vibrational media for good and become part of the larger collective of people working together to navigate the global shift of consciousness and transform the world from within. Join the planet, the Lucid Planet. Visit thelucidplanet.com. Welcome home.
Conscious Confidence Radio, a timeless wisdom with Sarah Main. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio and join Sarah on an adventurous journey to the deeper level of meaning to move beyond today's world of constant change, confusion, and uncertainty beyond the shadow of fear. This hit show explores key concepts such as confidence, values, and attitude in a dynamic way. To learn more about Sarah and her work, visit sarahmain.com.
The Truth is Funny. Shift Happens with Colette Marie Steffen is excited to welcome Karen Benton as a monthly guest host. Tune in on the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time to regain confidence and trust in your capacity to create change in your life, your health, your family, and your well-being. Karen Benton is a mother, nurse practitioner, certified body talk practitioner, Franklin Method instructor, and owner of Limitless Living LLC. For more information about Karen, visit karenbenton.com.
Are you looking to grow spiritually, expand your consciousness, increase psychic abilities? Well, there's a free app for that. Pure Light offers audios that transmit high spiritual frequencies to help you awaken to your full potential. Hundreds of audios created by some of the world's top energy healers, and many are free. Enjoy the latest in conscious technology and download Pure Light today. To find out more, visit purelightaudio.com.
Healing has a ripple effect. One person's healing affects everyone around them. This is where the power of sharing our stories can be so important. Tune in to Playing on the Edge Radio with Megan Edge each month on Transformation Talk Radio, as Megan provides you with ways of sustaining radical and powerful changes in your life. Enact the power of radical change. To find out more about Megan Edge, visit her website at meganedge.ca.
Welcome back to Your Next Chapter. I really loved what Jenn was talking about, and it leads beautifully into this last segment. I've heard a lot of my clients say to me that they don't have enough willpower to pass up the sweets or to stop them from going back for seconds or from getting up earlier to get to the gym to exercise in the morning. Most everyone knows that eating healthy, drinking plenty of water, getting enough sleep, and exercise makes us feel better. We know it, but that doesn't necessarily mean we do it. As a matter of fact, according to the CDC, in 2014, the percentage of U.S. adults aged 20 and over who are obese was 37.9%. And the percentage that are overweight and obese was 70.7%. So obviously, knowing and doing are two different issues. Knowledge without action doesn't make it happen. So have you ever tried to resist something that was in the fridge left over from a party? Maybe you made it through the first day, but it's still there. And the next, you can't stop thinking about it. And then before you know it, you've eaten more than you would have, maybe more than you would have just if you had a small piece when you first started thinking about it. That's because the more you use your willpower, the more worn out it gets. The American Psychological Association calls willpower the ability to resist short-term temptations in order to meet long-term goals. Willpower is a renewable resource, thank goodness, but we certainly can run out of it at the most inopportune times. So researchers Baumeister, Vose, and Tice conducted several different studies to take a look at the strength model of self-control. 2 specific studies I want to share. One had a group who were asked to watch a funny film and suppress their laughter and then solve a problem afterwards. And another one where they had folks sitting in a room with a plate full of warm chocolate chip cookies and were told they couldn't eat them and then asked them to solve a puzzle. They had control groups too who didn't have to suppress their laughter or could eat the cookies as well. And in every case, the folks who had to use their willpower to suppress their laughter or not eat the cookies didn't have the willpower or the mental energy to complete the next task. In every case. We have to use our willpower to make it through things all day. Passing up a dessert, staying awake during a really boring meeting, focusing on a monotonous task. So we tend to take the path of least resistance whenever we can. That's exactly how our brain works. The neuronal pathways in our brains are built based on habits. The more we do things, the deeper that pathway becomes. That's why it's tough to change something. We literally have to rewire our brain when we try something new. So for those of you who live in cold climates, after a snowstorm, if you had to go to the store and there was a path already carved out, even if it wasn't the most direct path, you would likely take it rather than plowing your way through 12 inches of snow to create a new one. Why? It's easier, it's less painful, it'll keep you dry or more comfortable, and it takes less energy, right? That's why it's hard for us to build new habits. It's more difficult, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, and it takes more energy. Advertisers and marketers know this about us and know we want to keep things simple. That's why they have mail-in rebates versus reducing the price. How many of us actually do the work to mail that stuff in, right? Or the programs where we sign up with our credit cards with no obligation because we can cancel at any time within 30 days. They know we won't take the time or possibly not even remember to cancel. So voila, they make more money. We can get caught up in this at work and at home. How many of us find ourselves swooped away with 30 minutes on social media when we were only going to check that one message? When we knew we should have been working on a project that's due. Again, we tend to take the path of least resistance. It's just easier. So what can we do about it? Shawn Achor, in his book, The Happiness Advantage, my new favorite book that I talked about last month as well, discusses 7 principles that help rewire our brains for happiness. The one I want to talk about today is his 20-second rule. He says if we put the desired behavior on the path of least resistance, so it actually took less energy and effort, or lower the barrier to change by just 20 seconds, it can help you create a new habit. Lower the activation energy for habits you want to adopt and raise it for habits you want to avoid. This will help us create positive change. He shared a couple of really great examples. So he personally was trying to learn how to play the guitar, and he had heard, as many of us have, that it takes 21 days to create a new habit. Now, that depends on a whole bunch of factors, but let's just go with that for right now. So he created a 21-day chart where he could check off each day he practiced his guitar, which he kept in the closet. After 21 days, he looked at his chart, and he had only practiced, it was once or twice, if I'm not mistaken. So he's like, well, that wasn't very good, and that wasn't very successful. So then what he did next was buy a guitar stand and put the guitar in the middle of the living room, which saved him the 20 seconds it took to go to the closet to get the guitar. At the end of the next 21 days, he'd practiced every single day. Some other examples, like, have you ever heard of putting your credit cards on ice, like freezing them in the freezer so that you don't shop impulsively? Or taking the batteries out of your TV's remote control so that you actually had to walk over to the TV to turn it on or turn the channel, like in the olden days. Maybe cleaning out your pantry of snacks that you don't want, so you'd have to make a trip to the store to get something less healthy. Or sleeping in your gym clothes so you didn't have to be distracted by finding workout clothes in the morning, and putting your shoes right beside the bed. You know that feeling that once you have your shoes on, you are definitely going to the gym. So those are some other approaches. He also talks about creating rules or setting up things in advance so you don't have to burn up your willpower. For instance, plan your food for the week. Buy your groceries in advance and maybe even cook on Sunday for the entire week. Determine when and where you're going to exercise for the week and what type of exercises you're going to do. If you're working on a deadline at work, maybe schedule a block of time to work on the project and keep your phone on Do Not Disturb and close your email. After the block of time, give yourself 15 minutes to check messages and emails. I was having the hardest time to make flossing a daily habit. I, again, knew that it would be good for me and for my teeth, but would do it some days and not even think about it on other days. So what I did was set the floss right on my bathroom counter next to my toothbrush, and it totally worked. My dental hygienist, who's been on me about this for years, was completely impressed when I told her what I was doing and how it worked. So by making the habits that you want to create easier and putting them into your path of least resistance, you don't have to rely on your willpower as much, and you can create new habits in a more simplified way. These positive habits, in turn, can help boost your happiness too. And you know I'm all about that, boosting your happiness. So remember the 20-second rule. If you've had something that you've been struggling with and want to talk it through, you can go to www.yournextchaptercoaching.com or www.shellyryan.com and schedule a complimentary strategy session. If you have a new habit that you want to create and want to work on your 20-second rule, I would love to talk with you about it. And if any of you are going to be in the Phoenix area, I have a couple of workshops coming up on September 22nd at Rio Vista Community Center in Peoria, Arizona. At 9 o'clock, I've got You Define You, Creating Confidence and Creativity. And at 1 o'clock, I have You Define You, Cultivating Courage, Confidence, and Creativity in Teens. So again, that's at 1 o'clock on September 22nd and 9 o'clock on September 22nd. You can email me at Shelly@yournextchaptercoaching.com for more details. I'm also confirming folks for my 2019 Scaredy Cat Retreat in Isla Mujeres, Mexico. The dates are June 29th through July 6th, 2019. And this is an amazing opportunity to combine personal development and vacation all into one. I think we all have some scaredy cat in us, and at some point, we're just ready to face it. So on this retreat, we go to Isla Mujeres, Mexico, an island off of Cancun, and we spend 8 days and 7 nights not only enjoying the beauty of the Caribbean Sea and the relaxation of yoga and meditation on the beach and the most delicious, authentic Mexican meals, as well as the best margaritas on the island. That we will definitely enjoy. But even more importantly, you'll get a chance to make a shift in your thoughts around fear. We'll make space for trying something new. We'll get really clear about your vision around what you want to do and what fear has stopped you from doing. You'll elevate your passion and your energy. You'll feel a new sense of commitment and be all in. We'll remove any roadblocks that have stopped you in the past, and you'll leave knowing exactly what you need to do to move forward to your next chapter. You'll get a chance to face a few fears too. Maybe traveling to a country where you don't speak the language is scary for you. Maybe flying is scary for you. Maybe staying with folks you don't know or sharing your own personal story. Perhaps snorkeling in the ocean is a stretch for you. And I don't know many people where jumping off of a moving boat into the middle of the ocean and swimming with a 35-foot whale shark right next to you wouldn't create a little bit of fear, but you'll have an opportunity to do that too. So I'm taking applications for next year's retreat, which will again be June 29th through July 6th. So mark your calendars and shoot me an email at Shelly@yournextchaptercoaching.com if you're interested. You can also learn more about it at www.yournextchaptercoaching.com or www.shellyryan.com. So again, I want to thank Jenn Hand for helping us on the path of no more diets. I am on that journey myself and loved what she had to share today. Join me next month on the last Friday of the month, September 24th at 12 Pacific Time, 2 Central, and 3 Eastern for another episode of Your Next Chapter. Until then, keep thinking about what's next for you.
Thank you for listening to Your Next Chapter Radio, navigating through life's transitions with Shelly Ryan. Tune in live the fourth Monday every month at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com, where Shelly's creative and powerful approach makes your next chapter happen by guiding you deliberately, mindfully, purposefully, and funnily. Experience proven strategies to set you up successfully for your next move. Get ready to accelerate your purpose with Your Next Chapter Coaching and listen to past shows at yournextchaptercoaching.com. That's yournextchaptercoaching.com or call 602-617-8351. Next,